India's energy inflation may have stayed flat last month, according to economists polled by Bloomberg, but overall inflation risks are mounting, with the country also bracing for a potentially weak monsoon season that could drive up food prices and slow economic activity. Rebecca Bundhun filed this report for CNA from Mumbai.
The India Meteorological Department is forecasting below average rains for the June to September monsoon season for the first time in 3 years. At 92% of the long-term average, this is the lowest initial forecast in more than 2 decades. One of the key drivers is El Niño, a warming of Pacific Ocean waters that often weakens India's southwest monsoon. The monsoon is critical to the country's economy, delivering nearly 70% of the country's annual rainfall, vital for crop output.
The kind of monsoon India gets becomes very important, and it impacts not just the agriculture sector, but it also has a bearing on overall consumption spending in the economy and hence overall GDP growth. It also impacts through inflation, specifically what happens to food inflation, and overall, rural sentiments and rural spending, which affects a whole lot of other sectors.
About half of India's population depends on agriculture for their livelihoods. Lower crop yields can lead to reduced incomes for farmers, weighing on rural demand in what is largely a consumption-driven economy. A weak monsoon can also push up food prices, adding to inflationary pressures that policymakers are already watching very closely. There are growing concerns that the Middle East conflict and its disruption to energy and other imports could push up the cost of living over the coming months. The rupee has also come under pressure amid geopolitical tensions, adding to inflation risks. Official data shows that food inflation rose to nearly 3.9% in March, from 3.5% a month earlier. Poor rainfall could limit the scope for interest rate cuts and prompt economists to lower growth forecasts.
Before the crisis, we were expecting India's GDP growth at around 7.2%. We have already reduced it to around 6.7%. Now, this does not factor in a poor monsoon. On top of this, if I factor in a poor monsoon, which we have not done as yet because we are waiting for some more data to see what kind of intensity it has. But on top of this, if I do juxtapose a poor monsoon, definitely it will hit growth and we will see GDP growth around 6.5%.
The Indian government says it's fully prepared to address the impact of a weak monsoon, with measures including better water management and expansion of irrigation facilities. Economists and policymakers alike will be closely watching the weather forecast in the weeks ahead as risks mount for India's economic outlook. For CNA, I'm Rebecca Bundhun in Mumbai.